PFAS chemicals are basically what are called forever chemicals, and they were developed and designed to be pretty stable compounds, which means that they don't react to many other chemicals, and they maintain their properties, which for their intended purposes was desirable.
It's a forever chemical because it doesn't break down. It stays in its state unless it's absorbed by carbon filtration or a media that's designed to remove PFAS. It migrates very quickly and accumulates in the groundwater, and where municipal or private wells draw from that aquifer that's been contaminated, there is a concern with carcinogens.
The conversations today around forever chemicals, or PFAS, PFOA, is a very hot topic. As regulations continue to become more stringent, they're being continually looked at, evolving, being defined on the federal level, and then handed down to the respective agencies, and they're becoming much stricter. Municipal water systems have been required over the last year to conduct quarterly testing. As we look into 2025, systems serving a population less than 350 are going to be required to do monitoring, and that's all of our non-community systems, convenience stores, things that have public water supplies.
The reason municipalities and water authorities should be concerned is that they're looking at smaller community-sized municipalities that weren't scrutinized before but are now becoming scrutinized. So as operating permits become renewable, and all operating permits are renewable, they will be imposing these regulations to all water suppliers.
JHA acquired Glace Associates in May of 2024 as part of our company's initiative to expand our geographic marketplace and continue to add to our experience in the industry. Their decades of experience, engineering practices, and abilities to work with cutting-edge technology brings a dynamic to the consulting world and our clients tenfold.
We first became involved in addressing PFAS in the water supply system in 2014 during the first round of EPA's sampling of water supplies in the nation.
Our client was a small regional airport in southern Pennsylvania. It was the first system in South Central regional office of DEP to be determined to have PFAS.
The Camp Hill team's success with this project put them in the national spotlight by being able to implement one of the first of its kind, state-of-the-art processes that identified PFAS treatment and was able to meet the regulatory requirements cost effectively, and really setting precedents for what lies ahead for many, many similar systems.
In 2014, PFAS was an unknown contaminant, and there wasn't a whole lot of operational experience on removing them from the water supply. Since there wasn't a lot of historical data or papers published on the removal of PFAS from water systems, we had to go to these manufacturers of these chemicals to find out what they knew. We had to search the technical literature library to identify projects that had started removing PFAS. We identified them, we contacted people. After many discussions, we determined that we were going to pilot test an activated carbon absorption system, and then went on to the next phase, which we had to design and install it. At that point, we realized there was a couple of things we had to address. One was that this plant was over 50 years old, and we had issues with pumps, we had issues with infrastructure in the plant, but we had to figure out how to develop this plant upgrade and still not miss a day's worth of water supply to the plant while we were completely tearing this plant apart and putting it back together. We had to do this in multiple phases because we had limited space to do this. We had to actually build the new facility within the footprint of the existing facility. We were able to work as a team, and JHA was able to get this thing done successfully and without violating a permit and without missing a day's worth of water supply.
Even though our client had several engineers on staff, they weren't accustomed to applying for grants and loans for financing water and wastewater projects.
JHA was able to get this client in front of the PenVest funding organization in Pennsylvania to apply for a grant. And we were one of the first, if not the first, plants to get a PenVest grant for the upgrade of their facility.
JHA has the capabilities of applying for those grants and loans. We know the process, and we've done it for multiple projects for decades.
JHA can assist municipalities in addressing the PFAS problem in many different ways. Obviously, we have engineers and designers that can determine treatment approaches. JHA has done anything from large facilities that have reverse osmosis that can remove the PFAS to smaller municipalities who don't have that financial backing or the operational expertise. We have to look at how this is going to be not only constructed and installed, how it's going to be operated in the future, and how it's going to be funded. But we can also look at the regulatory implications and negotiate with the regulatory authorities on the implementation. So we have to be cognizant of all those options and try and pick the one that fits your particular situation.
It's very important that clients communicate early so that we can plan as a team. The sooner that they can work with a professional, the better that it will be for their compliance attainment and potentially their overall cost effectiveness. As we look at the challenging environment ahead of us, specifically with Forever Chemicals, we really take pride in ensuring that we stay current with the regulations, that we're monitoring the most practical alternatives for treatment, and we're not afraid to tackle the challenging projects.